Greetings from the Black Hills of South Dakota. Stan Gibilisco here, proprietor and operator of amateur radio station W1GV, with another little tale that Murphy remembers well. She tosses and turns in her sweaty sheets as she remembers this. And she also perhaps regrets a possible opportunity that she may have had to really get me. Because this experiment that I'm about to describe for you is something that I would strongly urge you against doing until you check with your local authorities and the Federal Aviation Administration to see whether it's still legal. As far as I know, it was all the way back in the 80s, but it's probably questionable now. It involves flying a balloon, a helium-filled balloon, to serve as an antenna on 160 and 80 meters. I'll show you pretty much the arrangement that I had, and then I'll tell you how it worked, but I'll bet you can already guess. It was in the middle of the winter, just like it is now. I was living at my parents' house in Minnesota, and I decided to string up this wire and let it fly. 80 meters at night sounded like 20 meters on the best of days. Now I'll tell you a little bit of the theory behind it all. Well, I think this arrangement is pretty well self-explanatory in this diagram right here. There's the house. South was towards the right. The street and other houses in the neighborhood were out here. All of the utility wiring was underground. So I didn't have to worry about this thing falling on a power wire. 4-foot balloon that I got, I forget where I got it, I think at a welding supply store. That's where I also got the big tank of helium. And I got this wire from a place called, I believe it was called Mills Fleet Farm. It's sort of the equivalent of Home Depot or Menards or any of those other heavy-duty hardware stores. Big department hardware type store. The wire was called Bayguard 6. And I believe they still make it. Baygard. It's aluminum wire, very fine aluminum wire, intertwined with very tough, I think it's nylon or something like that, so that it's very, very strong and yet very, very light. I flew this thing on a January night. It must have been below zero, like it's going to be here in the Black Hills tonight. And but I flew this thing, and the way that I rolled up that wire, you know those extension cord rollers, you know, you kind of roll them like this. And they're maybe a foot in diameter with maybe a 6-inch, they're a big spool is what they are, and you can just unwind your extension cords from them. Well, there was room for well over 1,000 feet of this Bayguard 6 on that spool, probably a couple of thousand feet. I flew this thing up 320 feet. Now, I don't know if that is legal today. I believe that the Federal Aviation Administration would not let you do that today. It would be illegal. It may have even been illegal then, and I just didn't know it. But I figured kids fly kites all the time at altitudes like that, so why can't I do this? As long as I'm not endangering anyone. But there's so many things that could have gone wrong here, so many ways that Murphy could have got me. Lightning would not be among them because it was winter time. This balloon could have popped, though. A bird could have flown into it and popped it. It comes down on the street. It gets tangled up in somebody's automobile wheels. Comes down on somebody's house, tangles up in their house, makes a huge mess. So many things could have gone wrong that Nowadays, I'd never try anything like this without clearing it with all the authorities and doing it over a completely vacant piece of land like we have plenty of here in South Dakota, flat land. But I connected this thing up 320 feet. It's about 1.25 wavelengths on 80 meters, and I got on there, and by golly, worked Europe, worked South America, worked all kinds of stuff. It was a clear night. Balloons, you might be surprised, even a 5-mile-an-hour wind will make that thing heel over quite a lot, and anything more than about 10 miles an hour, useless. You need to use a kite instead. But these are things that ham radio operators have done. You just need to be aware of the risk. And when I got on 160 meters, it was about 5/8 of a wavelength, and I had to buy a new transmatch to tune that. But I had a lot of fun on 80 and 160 meters on those long winter nights at my parents' house when I was recovering from a very serious injury that could have taken my life and very easily could have taken my right arm, which I am able to move today courtesy of surgeons at the Mayo Clinic. But anyway, the whole point of this is you can still get away with something like this, but I think it would have to be something more on the order of 120 feet. And you have to be sure that it can't come down on a power line. It isn't going to come down and mess up anybody, then they're going to turn around and sue you. You don't do it when there's thunder showers anywhere nearby. It's just dangerous on so many levels. But then again, you know, putting up a regular ham radio antenna can be dangerous too. So check with the authorities, local and federal and state, before you try anything like this. But if they'll let you do it, and you think you're safe, and you're willing to assume the risk, in case some bozo sues you because they don't like the way that wire got on their driveway, well, good luck. Murphy could have got me so many ways and didn't that I sometimes wonder why Murphy spared me. Oh, she could have given me so much grief. But Murphy spared me that time. Maybe she spared me so that I'd still be around so she could pick on me for a few more decades. If so, I'll return the favor, Murphy. Guaranteed. Stan Jabalisco, W1GV Whiskey 1 Golf Victor, saying 73 and so long.